Dr. Film here, and yes, I'm qualified to have that name. Before we begin, you should know that this review will contain no spoilers. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe for reviews and more. And please follow me on Instagram at Dr. Film Roncess for updates on my channel. And with all that said and done, let's go fast, like the Flash.
The characters.
Let's start off this review by talking about our main star of this film, Barry Allen, aka The Flash, played by the man who shall not be named for many, many reasons. Oh boy. Now, to this actor's credit, he did well carrying this movie on his shoulders. He may come off as quirky and weird at first, but over time, you would understand where this character is coming from. And you would especially feel his frustration and sadness regarding the death of his mother. And I like how the film spins the idea of Barry Allen talking to his younger version of himself. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat 11, where Johnny Cage meets up with his younger self from the past.
Can't someone, anyone, explain to me what the hell is going on? Right? I've been in the future for a whole hour and I haven't seen one jetpack. Not one.
And now, let's move on to one of our most anticipated actors of this film, Batman, played by none other than freaking Michael Keaton.
I'm Batman.
There are no words to describe how much awesome it is to see him again on the big screen. Not only was it awesome to see him again as Batman, but it was awesome to see the suit, the gadgets, the Batmobile. And the film did fairly well explaining how Michael Keaton's Batman is in this story, especially since Ben Affleck is this universe Batman. And let's not forget Supergirl, played by Sasha Calle. Honestly, you guys, I didn't know what to expect from this actress playing Supergirl. Heck, I was worried that the filmmakers might butcher this character. But to my surprise, she comes off as a pretty captivating character. Even though I would have liked more screen time with her in the movie, I still thought Sasha Calle gave a solid performance.
Do you think of this role as something that was meant to be? When you were growing up, was this your wildest dream?
Every time I talk about this role, I say that it was written in the stars, really. And the universe knew what it was doing my whole life. So it's very special to be here talking to you about it and sharing it with my mom and my little brother who are in the green room right now watching this. Yeah.
That is so sweet.
Yeah,
you're a close family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, the film could have been more awesome if she teamed up with Henry Cavill's Superman. But sadly though, Henry Cavill was fired. Those monsters. How could you? How could you? You promised us! You promised!
Action and visual effects.
Now, the action in this film was creative, fun, and exhilarating to watch, especially with the action scenes involving Michael Keaton's Batman. Even though it's clearly not Michael Keaton fighting in that suit, it was still pretty cool to see him in action again. Although, there wasn't much action sequences in this movie. Without giving away any spoilers, all I can say is that there are a total of 4 action sequences in this 2-hour and 24-minute runtime. 4 action sequences, including the climax. And the climax wasn't even worth the wait. Oh, don't worry, we'll get into that later. And as for the visual effects, where do I start? Well, for one thing, some effects in this film look pretty good and pretty mesmerizing to look at. But other times, the visual effects can look pretty noticeable and pretty distracting at times, especially with the 2 Barry Allens. You can tell immediately which is Ezra Miller and which is not. And do you want to know something strange? The director of this film stated that some aspects of the CGI is supposed to look bad on purpose. He says, and I quote, "The idea, of course, is we are in the perspective of the Flash. Everything is distorted in terms of lights and textures. We enter this water world, which is basically being in Barry's point of view. It was part of the design, so if it looks a little weird to you, that was intended."
What?
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 Okay, I don't know if that makes me feel better, but okay.
The story.
Now, for those who don't know, the story is loosely based on the Flashpoint Paradox comic books, where the Flash goes back in time to save his mother, but it resulted in unintended consequences throughout the timeline. And I gotta be honest with you guys, the story in this film was just a multiverse situation gone wrong. Just like a bajillion other multiverse movies that we've seen before. And despite how Michael Keaton's Batman is in this movie, you can get pretty confused along the way as the movie comes to a close. Especially in the climax. The climax was so stale, less impactful, and almost anticlimactic. Honestly, when you get down to it, the story just didn't offer anything new. It just rehashed the same concepts and ideas we've seen before in other movies that have used the multiverse concept. But to this film's little credit, the story stayed faithful to what was important in the Flashpoint Paradox comic books, which was Barry making the ultimate sacrifice. And man, it hit me like a sack of bricks. Overall, my friends, I prefer to watch the Flashpoint Paradox than this one. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this film is entirely bad. This film does have its moments in nostalgia, but you can't deny how much of a mess this film has gone through behind the scenes. Especially when you consider the fact that this film has 3 alternate endings. 3 alternate endings! Including the one that is in theaters right now. That says a lot about this film. But in all fairness, I have to give credit to the filmmakers for making bold choices and bold risk. And even though the story wasn't well structured, I still have to give them credit for making this storyline different from the comic books. But all in all, I don't see myself watching this movie again anytime soon. But for what it's worth, this was a pretty decent DC film. It's not the worst I've seen, but it's definitely not the best. With all that said, I give The Flash a 7 out of 10. Well guys, that's it on my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. And please follow me on TikTok at DocRonces for funny videos, trailer reactions, you name it. And as always, I will see you guys at our next appointment. Now, if you don't mind, gotta run.